As of right now, there's roughly 23% of all golfers are women. That's roughly 6 million golfers in the United States. This leaves a great opportunity for us to help grow the game and help us all in the country club setting. With us today, I have John Sanchez from the Rockaway Hunting Club. He has over 30 years of teaching experience and has helped a countless number of women become avid golfers. He will be discussing his approach to coaching women and how he has helped grow the game. I also have Carly Peters from Quaker Ridge. She has recently become specialized in teaching and coaching. She'll be sharing her experiences as a junior golfer growing up, as well as playing golf at the collegiate level, to now working in both the Met section and the South Florida section, where she runs a very successful ladies program with over 200 golfers. So to get us going, Carly Peters, go right ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I was so honored to be a part of this webinar. And like Carina said, down here in Florida, work at Mariner Sands Country Club, and I run about a 200 woman ladies day, ladies clinics that I run 2 times a week. And I'm just here to provide some insight on that. Also, going from a education standpoint, I have my bachelor's in speech language pathology and a master's in business. And I really went from a female dominated industry to a male dominated industry here in the golf business and at the Met section. So I'm here to just provide some insight with that. I will now introduce John. I know he wants to kind of summarize what he's going to go over, and then we'll get right into it. So John.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming on the call today. We really appreciate it. Just going to talk a little bit about my experiences at the country club level, some of the successes I've had teaching and some of the things I do for teaching, and to give you a few little anecdotes about some stuff that I've seen along the way about the men's groups versus ladies groups and how you need to treat them equally. It just leads to good things for everyone. So that's about what we're going to be talking about. Carly, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Yeah, sure. So just talking about, opportunities for women. Growing up, I grew up in public golf. So I was kind of blinded, I could say, to how women and men were both treated on the golf course. So growing up, I grew up at Smithtown Landing Country Club under Michael Hebron, and I had every opportunity, in regards to tee times, getting out playing, clinics, educational opportunities. And I never really saw, I guess, at a country club setting, but now working at a country club setting, I know there are some restrictions for women, some restrictions for juniors. And I know Carina was also saying that this is really an untapped demographic for many country clubs and golf courses in general. So the club I work at down here in Florida, I think is really special because the women, I always say, run the club. And in our golf shop, we have about 75% of the merchandise as female merchandise or attire. And we have a small little area for the men's clothing. And the women have priority anytime they want it, as well as the men do. But our ladies' day, we have 36 holes, and we shut down 118 for maintenance and 118 for 18 holers in the morning, 9 holers in the afternoon. And we get about 200 women, overall. So about 100 in the morning, 100 in the afternoon. And I run ladies' day, and it's smooth as can be. The women are competitive. They know the rules of golf. So their pace of play is actually very, very fast. And we don't get any complaints from the men. It's just kind of the way the club is run. Our head professional, Tim McKenna, he really has set the standard for that. So I think, that's very important. I know John wanted to mention something about, his experience with men and women and some stories that he wants to share. So I will pass it back to him and hopefully get it passed back to me.
Well, I've been around the Met section for over 30 years. I've been in the section since I graduated from the Ferris State University, the PGM program there. I started at a 9-hole facility when I was 17 years old, and it was a traditional country club where every Tuesday was ladies' days, Thursday afternoons was a men's day or men's night. And I've seen restrictions, all through my career as to when women can play, especially on the weekends. And the premise was that the men have worked all week and that they should have priority over the women, because during those days, a larger percentage of women stayed at home than worked. But that's not really the case anymore. And it's good to see that country clubs are changing. I think you all got that survey that went out, and the results were good. Some of the responses, question one about when women can be restricted, 96% of them said no, which is awesome. You know, we had close to maybe 35 responses, and it's a great sign that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing to promote the game of golf and to get more women on the golf course. The question two about the wife being a member considered a full member was, again, not as strong favorable as we'd like, but it was close to 46 or 47% said yes, they are considered. That number needs to be a lot higher. I'm not sure how we as PGA members affect that, but we can do everything in our power to try to promote more equality there. And the question three about can a female single be a primary member of the club, we got a great response there. Again, it was overall 93% said yes, that's a possibility. So some good things there. One little hiccup, but looks like we're trending in the right direction. I'd ask you all to look at your tournament schedules at your club and to see how equal they are, men's versus ladies. And by that, I mean your annual member guests. I know the men have multiple day events. Most women's annual member guests are a single day event. And is the event held on the weekend or weekdays? Here at the Rockaway Hunting Club, we hold the ladies' annual member guest on a Saturday. Saturday morning, it's an 8:30 shotgun, ties up the golf course till about 2 or 2:30. And it's oversubscribed. We can't fit enough people on the golf course. So the other things I'd ask you to look at in that tournament schedule is your major events, the members. And again, are they held on the weekdays for both men and women, or weekends for both men and women? Most men's events I know are held on the weekends. Unfortunately, too many people still feel that women are slow golfers and that women are bad golfers, and neither is true. That's something that I think is going to take time before it changes. At the Rockaway Hunting Club, we hold our men's and ladies club championships over the same consecutive weekends. We generally have 5 flights of men and 2 flights of women. And we assign tee times for those flights based strictly on handicap. We don't assign a tee times based on gender, where it would be the 5 flights of men first and then the 2 flights of women. So it's all done strictly by handicap. So we may have 2 flights of men, a flight of women, and then 2 more flights of men, and then the final flight of women. It's been that way since I've been here. It works great. Pace of play is always good, and there are really no other complaints. I've always felt it's been good for getting women on the golf course to treat both groups the same way. And I'll give you an example here. At a club I used to work at, we had a ladies member guest on the golf course. It was a weekday. We had 9 groups in the ladies member guest. I had a male member who played every day, by the way, come up to me and wanted to take his group on the empty holes on the golf course. And I told him that would not be allowed, that it was the ladies' day and they had the golf course. And then I proceeded to ask him, I said, what if the roles were reversed? What if it was a men's member guest out there and I sent out a group of ladies out to the empty holes to play? I said, how do you think the men would react? And I think we all know the men would have gone crazy. So he didn't really like my response, but that's how we proceeded. And I just felt it was just very important to treat everybody the same. I've been at clubs where I've seen multiple little cliques of women where they all kind of played within their cliques and never really intermingled, not even for tournaments or anything like that. And all it took was one person to take the ball and run with it. The one person gathered everybody's email off of the country club's website, lobbed out a full email saying, look, I have these 3 tee times for Saturday. Who wants to play? And got a overwhelming response. It did intermingle all the groups together. Now all the ladies play together, good golfers, beginner golfers, and it's just done wonders for increasing participation in ladies events, because now nobody's really intimidated to play in them because they've played with all these ladies before. And it's just done wonderful things for increasing the amount of play and getting more women involved in events.
John, I'll just jump in here.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to what you're saying, but at Quaker Ridge, what we do is we have this big board of all the members. And every time, a pro plays with a member, we highlight their name and we see at the end of the season, how many rounds have we increased at our club? How many rounds have we invited members to play? And, myself being the only female pro there, I find it my job to get women of different abilities that I think could be, very friendly, like personalities, different abilities, and get them out playing together. And, as much as, you said that one of your members pulled all the emails, I think that's also our job as pros to really start pairing and matching and inviting. Members love to be invited. Oh, how about I invite you to play Saturday morning with me and so member, and we have a blast. And then that already starts the connection of the webs of all the groups, and gets rid of the cliques, because you're very right that sometimes at clubs members get comfortable, they get in their cliques of players they always play with every single certain days of the week, certain times of the week, and it's nice to kind of break those.
Yeah.
So I think that's great.
I totally agree. Our ladies clinics that we hold on weekends have been a huge asset in getting the same ability of golfers together to be friendly and to get together to go play golf, because that intimidation of I don't want to play with a good golfer prevents a lot of women from getting on the golf course. So yeah, it's been a huge asset for us here as well. And we've had to manipulate the timing of our clinics due to tennis, and we listened to the ladies. They said, listen, we want the clinics to be later so we can get involved in the tennis clinics that are going on as well as the golf clinics. So
it's something that we did at Tamarack. We had on Wednesday evenings, the men had a men's league. So we took that time to have a ladies clinic where we'd have people from food and beverage come down and serving them drinks, and we'd get golfers that played at all levels, very beginners that never picked up a club to people that play almost every day. And we actually, out of that program, we created our 9-hole club champion. That was pretty exciting. So again, like breaking down the walls and getting to meet new people, and all that stemmed from the men having to be there on that Wednesday. So then they would all go in and have dinner afterwards. So just finding the right time.
Yeah, jumping off what you're saying, Carina, too, at Quaker Ridge this year, we're trying something brand new. We did Operation 36 this year with our junior golfers. It was very COVID friendly, and we felt that it was a way to just, we're a Jewish club, so a lot of our kids, they're away at sleepaway camp, and this year they were all home. So with Operation 36, we just grew an amazing junior program. I mean, families were canceling the kids were canceling their vacations because they wanted to stay and play golf and not miss a single day of junior Operation 36.
That's awesome.
And so we're trying this year, we're going to bring it into our women's program. So we're going to be running an Operation 36 clinic, a tournament. And the way it works, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it, but instead of playing at your handicap, quote unquote, you're playing at your yardage. So if you can't break 36 from 25 yards, you're a 25 yarder until you can do so. So a 25 yarder can play against a 75 yarder, but that's their handicap. So their distance is their handicap. So we're excited to have that go, and we're going to be doing clinics, and we put out a survey to see what times of the day, what days of the week are best. Obviously on course time is very valuable. So that's something we're also keeping an eye out for too. But Mary O'Gara at Quaker Ridge, he has been phenomenal with really trying to energize the ladies and get them going, and it should be awesome.
And then Caitlin asked a question in here. Have we seen an increase in female golfers in 2020 due to COVID-19?
I'm going to say definitely yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I know that I'm teaching a lot of actually girls my age. They're home from college, or they're home and moved back in with their parents from New York City, and they're dying to get out of the house and do something. And I've had a lot of success with, really people my age, maybe even a little bit older, and they're like in love with golf now, and that's all they want to do, and they're ready for the summer coming up.
Yeah, I would have to agree 100%.
Definitely seen an increase. We have an area around the club that is generally, it's more of the summer homes, and it's generally inhabited just during the 3 or 4 months of the summer. But when COVID hit, everybody moved out to their summer house, and they're still there. So yeah, it's definitely a big increase in golf. I have a question for you, Carly. always noticed this, just dealing with some junior golfers, that especially the female junior golfers, the girls, they get very into it. They really like it. And then they get to that 13-year, 14-year age, and all of a sudden golf isn't cool anymore. Their friends are doing other things and they stop playing. And I've seen a lot of very talented young ladies just not play for a while. And then once they get into high school or college, or they get into the working world, it's time to play golf again because it's a way of doing business. Do you do anything to try to keep those girls going?
Yeah, so I have actually a lot of, things that I've done. So I actually started golf at 12 years old. So really that age that everyone was getting out of it, I was really getting into it. I have a twin sister, kind of thinking about this on an experimental level, but my twin sister always was like, golf is weird, golf is no fun. And she was a collegiate gymnast and I was a collegiate golfer. And all of a sudden when COVID hit, she's like, Harley, give me a golf lesson. I want to learn. Now all of her friends are getting into it. So, I actually, when I was at the Roundhill Club, and I haven't done this yet at Quaker just because we had our big junior program and COVID hit, so I didn't know how it was going to go, but I did a girls only clinic. So it was, I think, an hour or an hour and a half of kids or girls from, you could go ages like 8 to 12, and then I would do one a little bit older, like 12 to 16, let's say. And it was just an hour with me on the golf course, just, get out there, play, instruction. We would do a little tip at either the range or the putting green. And it was like a girls only club type of thing. Like that, I just kind of made it this environment where it's okay to be at any level, but I would tell all the girls, I'd say, you have an amazing opportunity in front of you, not just for college scholarships, but in anything you want to do. And like we were saying before, a lot of the girls that were living in the city and now live with their parents or vacationing at their summer homes, they're realizing like, wow, golf is a great thing. I work in a man's world or a world with, that's male dominated. And if I can play golf, that's great. So I would just, I always encourage young girls and even, girls when 12 years old, 13, I would say, listen, like, I know other sports sound really great and that's a lot of fun, but you have a great opportunity here. And I wouldn't, discourage them from playing any other sport, but, growing up, I played soccer, tennis, I did dance, golf, piano, I was involved in everything. And I think once you find your niche, and if you have a PGA professional just giving you that little bit of encouragement, that goes a really long way. So, that's just, I would say, be a role model, be encouraging, tell these girls how talented they are. And even if have them sign up for drive, chip, and putt, have them sign up for, I remember I won my first Met junior tournament and I was thrilled. And that's what got me hooked. I said, wow, I can do this, So they'd be surprised if they see, girls at other clubs. They'll be like, wow, I'm pretty talented at this. I think I could stick to it. So that's a cool one. Carina, when did you start playing golf?
So I was actually like the opposite of you. I did about one summer of junior golf when I was around 10, and I played every other sport at that time. The list goes on, but I hated it. I wanted to run around and be a maniac and stop playing. And I didn't start really playing until after I graduated from high school. And that was probably like September of 2013. I then took my PAT August of 2014. So once I started, I was absolutely hooked. And now look at me, I'm just, I absolutely love it. So I mean, there's times where I wish that I stuck with it when I was that same age, like 10, 12, and really tried to play collegiately. But then again, it's also, I became a more well-rounded athlete and really have the love for the game now. But yeah.
Yeah, I see Jeff also asked a question, how to get his girls, like when to have timing, when to really get them interested, when to give them a club. I was introduced to the sport around 7 and I never was pushed to play it. It was just something that I said, this is a challenge and I love it. But my sister, on the other hand, she was like, I'm frustrated. This is difficult. This is hard. I think developing the athlete first is so important.
Mm-hmm.
I would always just have, catches in my backyard with my dad, or, I would just go on runs or, build the athlete first, and then golf comes super easy. With my junior golfers, a really fun little tip that I do is I say, I'm like club down, both hands out, and I see if they can catch it and tee it up by themselves. And this could be a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old. And I'm developing hand-eye coordination. I'm developing balancing on a tee. There's so many things that beyond just hitting a ball that you can do. So I think just, obviously I'm sure you have, plastic golf clubs or actual golf clubs for your daughters. But yeah, I mean, I think less is more. Obviously, anytime a parent pushes something on their child, they're not going to want to do it. So I found golf just, because my dad was very casual with it. He was like, oh, let's try this. Let's go to the driving range, or, oh, let's, put around the house and make a mini golf course. Like things like that, I think are really awesome. And, to this day, I'm now a PGA professional. So yeah, I just think like less is more.
There's something about the sport that very few people talk about, and I try to talk about it whenever I can. And it deals with the juniors, it deals with getting your young child involved, and it deals with right up to your 83-year-old golfer. It's the fun factor of the game. And nobody really talks about it. If the person is having fun playing the game, I don't care if they're shooting 120 or 64. If they're having fun playing a game, then I look at that as a win. And when you're introducing the young kids to it, that's even more important, because if they're having fun, they don't realize they're playing golf. They're having fun. They're having a blast. And I think that's one of the huge things that everybody needs to keep in the back of their mind, that it's the fun factor that really keeps people playing the game. It's not the ability. It's kind of what do they want to get out of it.
Exactly.
I'll just share a little experience too. Becoming a PGA professional through the apprentice program. I was one of seven women out of a 200-person male-dominated room. And I never really understood the amount of men versus women in the industry until that day. And I sat in that chair, and the instructors said, half of this group is not going to make it to the next level or make it to be a PGA professional. And I was like, wow, this is an interesting, it's a really interesting demographic. And then I went back for level 2, and then the number dropped to I was one of 5. And then at level 3, I was about one of 4 women. So, that just opened my eyes to the industry. And I think, Carina, do you have the numbers on the women intersection?
I was just looking it up right now. It was I think very low.
Yeah, it's definitely an eye-opening statistic. Monique said right. So there's 1,000 women in the PGA out of about, I think, 26,000 members. The numbers in the section, though, I think Carina is going to get for us soon.
Yeah. Or Caitlin, do you have that?
Oh, 60.
Where did that email go?
Yeah, 50 to 60, probably women within the section.
It was something like that.
I have 55. I've got it, Carina. I have 55 females, 720 males. So you're looking at 7% compared to 93% male versus female.
Mm-hmm.
It's skewed heavily on the male side. 775 total members, and only 55 of them are female.
Yeah, and I went through the PGA Apprentice program as well, and I had the same experience. I think I was one of 4 women in my level 1. It's they split us into 2 groups, and I was the only female in the one. It was 8 last names, A to M or whatever, and I was the only female in that section of it, which I thought was mind blowing.
Wow.
And then as it went on, I think actually in my level 3 we had the highest percentage of women. It was 5 women in a group of about 30 people. So I thought that was kind of encouraging. But
John, what was your experience at Ferris State? Were there any women in your class or women that graduated successfully with their PGA?
Well, there were maybe a handful of girls, and it's very hard to track because you're not always back on campus with the same group that you were before. So they could be out on an internship, you could be back at campus. So it was very hard to track. I do know of about 2 or 3 girls that did graduate from the people that I was at school with, but not more than that. Not more than that at all.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder where they ended up. I wonder where they are. I see a question here that says, ladies equipment on the rise, trying to get a ladies strata set. I ordered and sold between 8 routes from September to December and tried again to reload, and they're back ordered. So I had that very similar experience. We had Kalia sets that we were dying to get, and we got, I think, maybe 2 or 3 bags from local reps or local clubs. But yeah, I mean, we had trouble getting beginner starter sets. Kalia, that is what it comes to mind. But yeah, I think a lot of even sporting goods stores that have clubs, I think were really low just because of COVID. I know Monique's saying the manufacturers were struggling to get things out, and that's been tough. So then we started fitting into Callaway, now Big Bertha Riva, things like that, and they're still like back ordered. So it's a good problem because that means more women are getting involved, but it's, bad on our end because we look like the bad guys, like, oh, I just ordered new clubs and I can't get them. So hopefully things get better with manufacturers.
Well, don't hold your fingers on that, because I think when the whole country starts to play golf again, back orders are going to get worse. Manufacturers are already warning us that right now you're looking at 4 weeks when you order clubs. It's just going to get worse.
Wow.
Yeah, be prepared.
Yeah, Carina, can you go over your experience? I think you were the only female in the Met section to play all the Winter Series events. Could you just tell us some stories about that?
I was the only female period playing, and I played in all 6 of the Winter Tournament Series at PGA Village in Port St. Lucie. And so out of 104 golfers, every week there was a wait list, and I was the only female. I signed up about, I think it was the first day that everything opened up, and wanted to make sure I got my spot. And it was eye-opening. It's kind of funny to see how different guys react to having me play different tee boxes. And I never once felt like I was unwelcomed or felt out of place. I had an absolute blast. I played in the senior junior as well as Team Tableford, and again, very underrepresented for women. Maybe 3 or 4 groups had women in them for both the senior junior and the Team Stableford. And I think I was one of 4 women in the stroke play. And then we had, I think, 62 ladies play in the women's stroke play. So there's golfers out there, but for some reason we aren't playing in everything that we're allowed to play in as PGA pros. And they let us play from 85% of the yardage, and I absolutely loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I played in one of them last year. And then this year my days off kind of shifted, but not an excuse to not play. I have to definitely get out there. I played on the men's team at college for 1 semester. So I played NCAA for 4 years, and then the men's team, I had 1 extra semester at school. And, I played from their tees with the men, with, everything like that. So that also was an eye-opening experience for me. As a golfer, it made me grow to get my woods better, hybrids better, because on pretty much every par 4, I had a wood or hybrid in. And I know, Carina, you bound the ball way further than me, but like that definitely grew my game as a golfer, playing from the men's tee. And now today, when I find myself playing any golf course, I'm pretty comfortable from, I would say, 6,200 yards and down. I know some of the like assistant events and some events in our section, like the tees, I think are at 85%, which I see sometimes as an advantage, because when we play with the men, sometimes we can hit it further than them from their tee. But, it's just interesting. Like tees, I know, are a huge controversy with women. And even like, that's why we brought in Operation 36, because sometimes even with juniors, you're way more comfortable playing a hole from 25 yards in than you are from the tee. So that's a cool way to just kind of limit like the nerves, or people get very like in their head about, oh my gosh, I'm on the golf course. Like now, it's like, I'm like, you're fine at the driving range. Like it's the same thing. Like I'm with you, like relax, like it'll be okay. So just getting over that like hurdle, I think, is a really, really important thing for women golfers. And my first lesson ever at Quaker Ridge was an on-course lesson with 3 beginner women. And Mario kept saying, keep your pace of play, whatever you do, just keep your pace of play. So I'm out there, it's like April or May, and, we're having a blast, but they were a little bit slower. And I said, you know what, let's play a scramble. Then, they had so much fun with that. And they were like, well, we don't feel comfortable being out on the golf course without a pro with us. And eventually, like, I kind of weaned them off, not like, I weaned them off of like getting so confident with me to making them more confident in themselves. And I said, guys, just go out and play the first 3 holes, and then walk in. And, just baby steps, I think, are huge to get women out playing.
Yeah. And what we would do is during those ladies' nights, we would designate one day to take them out on the golf course. And having that like on-course experience, especially with the beginner golfers, because most of them don't even know where the first tee is or the 10th tee. So
right.
Just those little things that we as professionals kind of take for granted, just understanding the lingo and all those little tiny details that we definitely take for granted, just opening it up to the women and just showing that it's okay to ask questions too.
Yeah,
everyone was there at some point.
That's a funny thing that you mentioned that, because in the PGA program, we had Trillium Rose. I don't know if any of you are familiar with her, but she's amazing. She's at Woodmont Country Club in Maryland, but she had encouraged all of us to take a lesson in a sport that we had never played. And it puts you in that feeling of intimidation. It puts you in that feeling of uncomfortability. You don't know what to wear. You don't know the lingo. You don't know anything. And it puts you as a PGA professional in the shoes of your student and how scared they are. You know, it's a cool thing. So I encourage everyone on this call to try that. It's eye-opening for sure.
Even like going to your tennis pro, like I'm sure most clubs have a tennis pro, just going over there and taking a lesson, or just talking to them, or even just getting up and trying to swing lefty, swinging the opposite way than you normally would swing. Kind of make that.
There were a couple questions that popped up there. They're popping off of my screen, right? Even before I read them. I think there was one about.
I can read one. It says, let's see, for Joe Condomini, can you give some examples of how you keep golf fun for beginner women? I personally play a lot of US kids games in this clinics and they have a blast. Wondering if you guys had any other examples. John, I guess I'll throw that one over to you.
Yeah, we always do our ladies clinics with a specific subject. So on Saturday it might be drivers, Sunday it might be irons or fairway woods or something like that. That seems to get, okay, I can't hit my hybrids. Oh, I can't wait to come to this clinic. You know, that has always kind of drawn a few more ladies to the program. And if we always leave a few minutes at the end for questions or hitting anything they want to hit if they're having a problem with certain clubs out there. As far, how do we keep it fun and keep it entertaining? You know, we tried to do like a wine and nine event where, you know, some 9 holes if they want to play 9 holes, and then it's on the back porch for a glass of wine kind of thing. You know, alcohol always helps bring more women out, unfortunately, but men too, as far as that's concerned. But that's, you know, those kind of things have always been a pretty good success. For our ladies opening day that we do here, we do a free clinic from 10 to 11. From 11 to 12 is lunch, where we will go there and discuss some type of golf related topic, whether it's a rules change or, you know, equipment change, rules of that kind of thing, something that's prevalent to the start of the new golf season. We'll give them that talk during lunch, and then they have a 9-hole shotgun scramble at 12:30. And the free clinic does a lot of things. It gets more people out playing. It helps promote lessons for the staff at the club. And it just kind of promotes people for playing golf. It's a spring checkup. It's gotten so popular that we're doing it at the end of the year as well. Ladies closing day is the same type of format. So definitely a huge success with that type of format.
Yeah, similarly to what you're saying, at Quaker Ridge this year, I was brand new and I didn't really know a lot of the women just starting off. And Mario had this idea of a super clinic. So a super clinic is all the pros. We all get, you know, someone's in the bunker, someone's on the putting green, someone's at the driving range, and someone is, you know, doing like activities or games or whatever. And they had 20 minutes with each of us. And, you know, we all blocked our books for this. We, you know, gave a complimentary clinic, and the women just rotated around. And we had tennis players. We had women that had never played golf before. So it was like a really cool way. We called it the super clinic because it was, you know, with every single pro, and for us to meet them and help them and them to know us and get comfortable with coming to the club and playing golf, because some of the women didn't even have clubs, and now they knew where to get clubs, they knew where to go, and they knew all the, you know, all around the club. So if anything, it was more of like an introductory and saying, you know, this is where you can go to putt, this is what's expected of you over at the driving range, or, you know, kind of like a little tour of the club. We also had mixed events with women, and having their husbands along there, sometimes that also gets the intimidation factor away. But yeah, I think just, you know, getting creative with the ladies is helpful. I had the woman, I put on a tee or like 3 tees. I had them hit a marshmallow, and I had a radar gun. So I would say, okay, hit a golf ball. I would get their swing speed on the radar gun. Then I would say hit a marshmallow, because now they're not afraid of where it's going, how hard they have to hit it, you know, anything like that. And they increased their swing speed. I think everyone almost except like 1 or 2 women didn't, but like, you're right, John, you're saying fun, make it fun. You know, no one wants to go and be miserable. So even, you know, when we have like mini golf set up on the putting green, the parents drop their kids off, and they're like, wow, I want to do that. You know, they want to be a part of it. So parent child, making it fun, just having like contests throughout the day, or just like things like that can go a long way.
We actually took that idea with because we had all the women that would see what we would do during junior camp, and they'd be like, oh man, like that looks like a blast that these kids are playing all these games. So we actually incorporated that into one of our ladies clinics, and they absolutely loved it. We had people begging for us to do that again, and they said that it really opened them up to being able to make new friends, because you're put on a different team where even during those clinics, you're still going to kind of fall into those little cliques that we talked about. But then when you start playing these games, you start competing, there's like that little friendly rivalry, and it kind of opens up that new avenue to make those new friends. And then before you know it, they're out playing golf together.
I think also getting creative with prizes really gets the women out. Last year with COVID, I think we just gave away hats and things in the golf shop, but there are ways, Signs by the Sea, one of our partners and sponsors, like they make amazing prizes that women would love, so like just getting creative with prizes and showcasing it, maybe we'll get some more women to sign up.
We talked a little bit about equipment and the frustrations we're probably going to have to deal with, but I think some of the club fitting for certain women can be a little more challenging than others. And it's dealing with, you get that stronger woman, that athlete that can really generate some speed. The ladies clubs are too light and too flexible. So what do? Everybody says, well, you go to senior flex iron. Okay, well, the senior set of demo clubs I have at the shop here have the fat grips on them, which is, why? Because, well, every senior golfer has arthritis. That's what the companies assume. Not true, but there are, the other thing that you have to think about too is you get that taller woman that doesn't have strength. Now she needs longer, lighter, more flexible. And God forbid you have the unicorn of a left-handed lady. Good luck, because the amount of equipment that's available to her is probably the lowest out there. Now you can
we had a lefty lady set this year at Tamarack, and I'm pretty sure that was the most used rental set the entire year.
It's crazy. You can get around some of this if you have a decent fitting system, but you have to be able to adjust head weights on that fitting system, which is not usually the case with most fitting systems from manufacturers. A very popular question I get a lot of times from women is, what ball should I play? And my response to them is the same response I would be to any golfer. I ask them, well, what's important to you? And they kind of look at me like I got three heads. I go, do you want to hit far? Do you want it to feel good? Or do you want to control it? Do you want to be able to stop when it lands on the green? And then depending on what their responses are, that leads me into a bunch of different golf balls. So I think the women don't have it as good as the men do with equipment and fitting, but a quality fitter can make up for that if the person knows what they're doing.
Speaking on equipment, and kind of tying it back to clinics as well, down here in Florida, I get pretty creative with my clinics. I brought like the Win. We have a lot of women down here, they're seniors and they have a lot of arthritis. So to my clinic, I had 8 women and I brought 8 W8 or W7 grips. And I each gave them a grip without a golf club on it. And a lot of women haven't felt like they haven't felt just a grip alone. And I said, okay, go in your bag and find the worst club that you have, and I will put this grip on for you. So, and then like they loved it and they came back, oh, I want my whole set re-gripped of W7s or, oversized grips. So that was a cool little giveaway. I also brought to a putting clinic the Callaway ERC golf ball with the lines. A lot of women didn't really understand that, it really helps when you line your golf ball up. So this was a really clear way to show them that. And then they came in the golf shop and we were like sold out of those golf balls because they were like, wow, they're soft and they feel good and I can line my golf ball up, and like little tips and tricks just to get them out playing. Like little grip and a golf ball giveaway at a clinic goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Anything to make it easier.
Yep.
Make it easier. A couple of things when I've got someone on the lesson tee that I always like to ask them, and this is going to sound really stupid, but hear me out. I want to ask them whether they're right-handed or left-handed. Now, that the case being is, I had a while back, I had a lady I was teaching for 2 years. She was playing golf from the right-handed side, and then all of a sudden, 2 years into her instruction, she tells me she's left-handed. And I was like dumbfounded, and so many things now made more sense to me in her golf swing. And if I had known that or if I was smart enough to ask that question earlier, she probably would have been a much better golfer faster. So just don't assume that because the person is playing from the right-handed side of the ball that they're right-handed. You got to ask, because ladies, because of the equipment deal, they're not always playing from their dominant side of the golf ball.
John, what I know, like, you've obviously been a teacher for 30 years and I'm only really into my, let's say, 5th year of teaching. Are there any cues that you find that really show lefty or righty? Because I know with juniors, I always see a smaller backswing and a large follow through. I see their hands. Are there any other things that you look for?
There are some things kind of hard to explain, but the wrist position on the backswing, ladies, I feel that have weaker hands always like to kind of get in this position because it feels stronger to them, but it shuts the club face. They can throw the club better from there, but that sometimes comes from an improper grip or just from hands being a little weaker. And, you have to make compensations for different players. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that I see that says to me, okay, which one is their stronger hand and what's happening with it.
What I do to find the player's dominant side is I ask them to jump and try and do a 180.
Yeah.
Based on which side their body wants to rotate. So like for a right-handed golfer, they're going to turn over their left shoulder.
Oh yeah,
For
that's interesting.
a left-handed golfer, they're going to jump and turn over their right shoulder. And I've never seen it fail.
Yeah.
That's just how your body wants to rotate.
Yes.
So that's where your power is going to come from. Like the kids absolutely love it. So that's the best part.
I'll do a similar thing to them where I'll have them hit standing on one leg, and you can tell right leg versus left leg, and you can tell, kind of pretty quickly what their dominant side is and what their stronger side is. And that has a lot to do with then how you want to instruct them, knowing which is their dominant side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I always ask, I just ask like what other sports they played, what side they play it. I'm kind of a weird case. If I were to play hockey, I would play hockey lefty, and I golf righty, and I do things all kind of backwards. So, I'm not a clear case of that, but that's another question that I sometimes ask.
I actually helped a lady switch from righty to lefty this summer. And she came to me and she was like, I don't know why. It just doesn't feel right playing right-handed. And I did that test with her, and sure enough, she turned over her right shoulder. And so I just gave her a couple of lefty clubs, gave her a lesson. And she's like, I've never felt this comfortable swinging a golf club. And she'd been playing for probably 15 years. And she was like, oh, this makes so much more sense. Why didn't I try lefty before? But it's
a couple other things I like to ask the student, ask them why they're playing, and the last thing I want to hear is because my husband wants me to, because that's just that's just not going to work. You can't force this on anybody. We all know that. And then most importantly, it's getting back to what I mentioned earlier. I ask them if they enjoy it. That's probably the most important question I ask them. Are you having fun with it? And if I get a hesitation, or if I don't get an immediate yes, then you can kind of tell that they're not having fun with it yet. And then I feel like then that fun factor becomes even more important. And now I'm, pulling out all the stops to make them have a little fun doing it.
Yeah. I always ask whoever I'm teaching, I say, why you're here. Like, did someone push you to be here? Like, are you, why are you here? And it's funny, a lot of the responses that you get are, my husband wants me to do this and they're forcing me to take a lesson. And to me, I'm like, okay, awesome. That's my favorite type of lesson, because 1, they're here with kind of 0 expectations. 2, they're here to make their husband happy. And now I can be the superhero. If they love golf and I make them really have fun with it, then their husbands are happy, they're happy. Maybe their kids are going to come out and play at the club. And to me, I'm like, all right, awesome. That he's pushed you to get here. And now you're here. It's my job to make you have fun and get comfortable and confident. So sometimes, the lessons that I'm sure you guys, everyone on this call has had, where you're teaching the female and the husband standing behind and putting his 2 cents in or helping, things like that. I'm like, okay, I said, you know what, you've got them here. I can handle it. I've got it from here. Like, I will get your wife out on the golf course, but it's going to take baby steps, and it's going to, it takes a lot. And, I'm sure everyone on this call also knows Dylan, my new fiance, but, we go out and play golf together, and he's like, Carly, try this, do this. And I'm like, Dylan, like, I'm good. Like, I know, which they're there to help, but I'm just like, you know what? It's like, I could do this on my own. Like, I'm confident, I'm comfortable. Like, that's all I think people need.
I tell them not to listen to their husband.
Yeah.
I'll tell them in front of them too. I'll say, listen,
Yeah.
he can say anything he wants, but you don't listen to him.
Yeah,
'Cause
Right.
he
In
doesn't
one
know-
ear, out the other.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Just yes,
So, like-
dear. That's it. Just say yes and nod your head and
yeah. I also like to ask them, what are they expecting to get out of the lesson?
Mhm.
You know, because if their expectations are way too high, I need to address that. You know, because a lot of people want to hit every shot perfectly. They think, oh, I'm going to take a lesson, I'm going to hit every shot perfectly. Game doesn't work that way. We all know that. The other thing that I've found a lot of success in getting ladies out to play is telling the ladies, listen, get 2 or 3 of your friends and come on out for a lesson. You know,
Yeah.
it's a group instruction as opposed to just that one-on-one where, you know, eyes are on you for an hour, here we go. You know, that intimidation, a lot of ladies don't like that. But if they've got their friends out there where they can talk and laugh a little bit, it just makes it so much easier to get them out playing or the range, anything like that.
and then they have like a little buddy to kind of
Yeah.
learn with too. It's like
Yeah.
you go and play, you don't want to go out by yourself. Even
Right.
us as professionals, when we have stuff to work on, we don't always like to play by ourselves. So especially in that beginner phase when you're just getting comfortable at the golf course, it's really nice to have that friend. And I also think that when you're teaching 2 people at once, it almost gives the beginner golfers a little bit more of an opportunity to learn. So you give them a pointer or 2, and then you let them kind of do their own thing for 5 to 10 minutes. And then you come back and see how they're doing with it. And all while also bouncing ideas off their friend who's going through the same feelings as they are. And
Yeah.
because you it's always sometimes it's a little hard to relate to them. And then they can kind of relate to each other to, again, make them feel a little bit more comfortable.
At my women's clinics down here in Florida, I usually get like 6 to 8 women. And we, last week I did a clinic on driving. So, I walked the line, had everyone come together as a group, walk the line again, come together as a group. And I usually leave the last 10 minutes for anyone I call it the show off time. If anyone wants to hit a golf shot in front of the clinic, I say the only rules are you can only point out something positive. So, and they're usually, beginner to intermediate golfers that come, and, everyone likes their show off time. I say, hit 3 golf balls. You don't have the pressure of just hitting one, you get 3 chances. And, I kind of call out the positives. I say, look how great her, stance is, or look how great her grip is, or, and then people kind of learn from that. And I also preface it, I say, this is what golf is. You're out on the tee, you have your 3 friends with you, and they're going to watch you hit a shot. So it's okay to get up in front of a clinic and hit 3 shots, and you get 3 chances. It takes off the pressure of just one, but you have 3 chances to show the group what you learned. So I think that's a great way. Like Carina said, I love teaching in a clinic because you can bounce ideas off each other, you can learn from each other. It gives everyone kind of a little break. If you don't have to hit 20 million golf balls in an hour lesson or in an hour clinic, you can kind of work your way through it. So clinics are awesome, really fun.
So Carly, tell me a little bit about the ladies program at Quaker.
So
Minutes, instruction, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Clinics.
so we did the One Big Super Clinic. Tried to get weekly clinics going, but the women really seemed like they wanted a lot of instruction, and we had really the same like 8 women play. So we're trying to grow our numbers with that. So this year, like I said, we're trying something new with Operation 36 that I think really can take off, because it's right now beginning of March and we're already having people, interested in it. Where can I sign up? When is it? What time is it? So that's already different than what I've seen. I've only been there for 1 season, so that's different from what I've seen in the past year. Our big mission statement for our women's program is fostering friendship. So we want the women to, if our female chair, she's like, I'll play with anyone, I don't care, like just send them my way. And she's a pretty decent golfer. So, some women are intimidated to play with her, but she always invites women out. And we're like, listen, like fostering friendship, play with someone who you haven't played with before. Meet your members at your club. I mean, it's as much as their club as it is the men. So we're trying to just grow the program with, education opportunities, playing opportunities, just kind of breaking the barriers.
Carina, what was it like at Tamarack?
It was a little dicey. We have our very big clicks. We have our 18-holers and our 9-holers, and typical club, they butt heads. But we've started to kind of integrate them together with those ladies' nights. That was really where we saw the big leap where we had a bunch of 9-holers then feel comfortable enough to join the 18-hole association. And yeah, the women played, the 18-holers played Wednesday mornings. We would run their weekly events. And then Thursdays would be the 9-holers. They would make their own tee times, kind of do their own thing. And then they occasionally, maybe once a month or so, would have an event that we would organize. And the 9-holers were very, very welcoming to new golfers. And we did a golf 101 my first couple of years at Tamarack, and then that kind of fizzled out, and we transferred it into that ladies golf night to kind of open it up to everybody. We weren't really seeing the numbers for beginner golfers that we did, because most of them had become 9-holers to 18-holers. And yeah, I think that the participation in the tournaments there was definitely increased this year drastically with COVID from years past. And yeah,
I don't know if Carina or John, if you have this experience, but I find it down here in Florida very easy to run a true tournament, because we don't allow requests like, oh, can I play with her? Can she play with me? Or, like, we don't allow that for any of our ladies' days, because we also do have a huge, robust group of women. So we can't take requests because it just gets out of hand. So up north, I find that we take requests and we obviously accommodate when we can, but then that takes away the gist of a competitive tournament. There's no A player, B player, C player, D player because of the requests. Do you guys have any advice or experiences with that? Because it's nice to just say, we don't allow requests. And like I said, it runs very smoothly. They're true tournaments. And the women are more down here in Florida concerned with, what's my handicap? These are my shots. Like they have the knowledge, like they know, but up north, they don't quite, we never really have had a true competitive tournament besides the club championship.
Well, we will pair a ladies tournament with our tournament software, and then look at the pairings, look for personality conflicts. If there's some ladies that don't really get along, we try to avoid that. And then if there are some special requests, we do that. But we're also in the process trying to keep the integrity of the event intact, meaning making sure all foursomes are equal. So it's a little more challenging here, because we always get a certain percentage of people that don't show up for the event, and a certain percentage of people that show up that didn't sign up. So it's just a very big moving event that you've got to be good on your feet. So
yeah, that's why we're thinking with the Operation 36, like if women just show up, it's like, oh, okay, just go play from 25 yards, or go play with this group that was a 3-ball, we'll make you guys 4. Like, so that's where like our thinking was coming in with like no clicks, and also 25 yarders have to play together on this day in a scramble. So like really making their handicap and their yardage to avoid the click. So that was like our thinking also behind that. But yeah, like I said, it's exciting when I'm down here and it's a true competitive tournament. It's really refreshing to see.
Yeah. In the electronic age that we live in, I've found that at least here at Rockaway, if I send an email out about the ladies clinic on a Tuesday or a Wednesday for the following weekend, I don't get a very good turnout. But if I send it out on Friday, the day before, I get a huge turnout. So it's just, I don't know what it is, but we are a little bit of a last minute type club. Oh my God, there's a tournament tomorrow. Can I sign up? But yeah, it's emails, and the electronic age is here. And if you're not using that to promote your clinics and that kind of stuff, you're a step behind everybody else. Yeah.
Do you guys use Forties? What's your software?
No, we've got Club Essentials that.
Okay. Yeah.
I wish we had Forties, to be honest with you, but yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we use Club Essential down here in Florida, and then Forties up north. So familiar with both. But yeah, I mean, Forties is great. We love it.
Yeah.
And Club Essential as well.
Yeah, we have Forties we had Forties at Tamarack. I'm actually not sure what we have at Woodway.
You're gonna find out?
I'm gonna find out. We actually had a lot of waiting lists for our ladies clinics this year. I don't know if you guys have any experience with like oversubscription and how you kind of deal with that, because we were concerned that if we started to incorporate more clinics, that it would become almost diluted. And I was wondering if you guys had any sort of insight on that.
Yeah, you know,
We just
go ahead, Carl.
Go ahead, John. Oh, okay. We just pull in another pro. So if we have, if we put up the sign up for, let's say 6 women and we get 12, or even if we get 10, we just kind of split the group up. They get 2 pros, and that's normally what we do.
Yeah. So like this year it was different because of COVID. And our range at Tamarack was very space limited. So due to COVID, we wanted to be able to have people spread out, and we always set a limit to, I think it was 12 ladies each week, and we would have up to sometimes like 8 to 10 ladies on the wait list.
Wow.
And then as the season went on, it a little bit died out, but still up until the end, it was overly subscribed.
Well,
But
we always have one instructor signed to the clinic, and we have another instructor kind of waiting in the wings, that if the numbers are big, because you can sign up or you can just show up for us. You don't really have to pre-register. So, if the number gets to where we don't feel they're going to get the proper attention, we bring in the other instructor and go from there with it. So yeah, we've never been oversubscribed. I think we've had as many as 12 to 15 ladies, but never more than that.
Oh, I see a question from Mike Bella Jr. What do you guys think is the best way to get girls to want to become golf pros? He's saying that his mom was one of the first 10 women in the PGA in history. And what do we think the answer is to get more women involved in golf? So I really I never thought I was going to become a golf pro. I went to college for speech language pathology, and my whole plan was to say, and I loved the game. I loved golf, and after college I wasn't involved with it. I played on weekends, but throughout I was a college golfer, but I said, my plan is to become like a school teacher, speech language pathologist in the school year, and then in the summertime I wanted to get my PGA credentials and become a teacher for golf. So I was like, what, I'm going to take my passion for teaching and my passion for playing and put them together. Little did I know, I signed up for the PGA program. I'm down in Florida at this amazing seminar with 7 women out of a room of 200 men about, and I'm like, wow. I said, this is what I want to do. So my whole plan totally shifted, and I grew up at Smithtown Landing Country Club, which we had 2 female pros, and about, I want to say 4 male pros. And one of the female pros' daughters, Caitlin Clancy, she was very involved with golf, and her and I kind of were like buddies, and we were like, what, let's go play. And her mom would always give us golf balls, and to have those female professional as role models, I was like, wow, this is something I really can do. So I go to PGA school and I fall in love with it, and I ended up switching my master's program from education to business. But yeah, I think having like the role model and having the support from a female professional or just a really good female golfer at your club is second to none. I mean, I've had some girls that I went to college with, they started reaching out to me and said, I see you're a PGA professional, like, where do I start? I want to do that too. Or, and then there's also the LPGA route that some women go, they get their LPGA first and get their maybe PGA second. But I think it's really important to have both PGA and LPGA, just because you have that network of women in the LPGA. And then for the PGA, it's like you can integrate with really everyone. And I think the PGA is just awesome to have for the section and for tournaments. I know Carina is like involved with a lot of the tournaments for the winter series, but I think just support, encouragement, guiding people in the right direction. Like if you have some girls that say, oh, I want to become a PGA pro, like point them in my direction or Carina's direction, or even your mom's direction. Like that's so incredible. Like kudos to her. She's one of the founders for why Carina and I are even here right now. So send her our best.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I was really thrown into the industry. Like I didn't even play golf until the summer after I graduated from high school, and then that next December, so I started playing in say September, and that December I was working in the California desert, and I was very lucky to be surrounded by not just women professionals, but people like John. I worked with John my first real year as a PGA pro, and he kind of just showed me how much of an impact you can have on people and how much he truly enjoys it. I mean, having you work long hours, but the rewards you get from this job are unlimited. And I think kind of showcasing how you can have an impact on people's life, what really would be important. Like for me, I always wanted to get into like the medical field. But then I found golf and I saw how you can learn about how the body works and how you can incorporate it into teaching, and helping people enjoy a game that we all love is so rewarding. I think that's such a important point to make to anyone that's considering this job, that you can really have an impact on people's lives and more the way than just one. And golf, I think, just really teaches you a lot about being a successful person in society.
And I think
I
also
absolutely love it.
having like a background in something else and then coming into this industry is huge, because, you know, I've taught people that have speech disorders or they stutter, and or like a lot of juniors have, you know, speech issues, and their parents are like, you know, my kid stutters, like, is this okay? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, my background's in speech language pathology, like, you have nothing to worry about, like, he's safe here, we're gonna have fun, like, you know, there's no barriers on the golf course. I've taught amputees, you know, I've taught kids with autism, I've taught so many different walks of life that Carina is correct. Like, as much as we're, you know, I find that we're here to help. We're here to just be like supportive and helpers and just encouraging. I think that's like a huge, huge, huge part of this, you know, industry.
Yeah.
You know, I think it boils down to everyone, at least I know I had one. Everybody has, like you guys have all mentioned, someone that was an influence to you that led you down the path. Like, you know, the pros that I worked for when I was in high school, you know, I looked at them and I said, you know, that's kind of a really cool way to make a living, because doing something that I love to do. And, you know, it was just, that's kind of what steered me in the right direction. So it's maybe showing some of these, you know, young girls and people that, listen, this is a career path, you know, whether you're male or female, you know, this is something that you can do that would be a great way of making a living.
I always remember too, like when I was a junior golfer at Smithtown Landing, I'd hit balls on the driving range, and when one of the pros like came up to me just to check in, like, how are you doing? Like, you hitting the ball? Like, how, you know, how's it going? You know, that would make your day. Like, if they came over for 2 seconds and just said hi to you, you're like, oh my, you know, they're like celebrities. Like, my pros, like when I was little, I was like, wow, they were everything. So when they just would come over for 5 seconds, and anytime I see, you know, a father and daughter or a little girl like trying to learn the game, I always go over and I'm like, hey, look, you know, my name's Carly. You know, I started golf when I was 12, and what can I do to help? Like, just something like that is, I think, really important, and that could just get, you know, it could grow the game. I know something that we always have done in the section was girls to the tee. I know it's at Westchester Country Club, and I think Smithtown Landing, I believe, hosts one as well. So any woman on the call, that's a amazing thing. I know Monique, she was super involved with that and got me out, you know, helping out with it. So that's just another awesome opportunity to get involved with, if they have it this year. I know with COVID, who knows, but we'll see. Let's see. I think we got another question.
Yeah, Caitlin said, how do you think you can bridge the gap between junior tour, collegiate or college golf and becoming a PGA professional? I think driving home the fact that you can continue to compete. I mean, that might just be me, but anybody I think that plays at like a collegiate level or plays anything competitive growing up, I think having that outlet to be able to play competitively at such a high level is awesome. And there aren't many career paths that you can go where you get to compete at a high level like that. Kind of gives you an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm not sure a lot of people understand exactly what being a golf professional is. I mean, you get to compete. You wear so many different hats. You get to, you know, you run a business, you teach, you compete. You know, there's just so many different aspects to what we do. And it's not just, you know, it's not just a single thing that we do. I think if people realize that, I think we'd have a lot more people into it.
Yeah.
It looks like Ben Hoffhein's got his hand raised. Ben,
Yeah.
you can unmute yourself if you'd like to say something or ask a question.
Sure. I just wanted to remind everybody, thanks you all for the information. It's been great. But Westchester's hosting the U.S. Women's Amateur this year, which may be a great opportunity for all of you to bring all your female golfers to see the best women amateurs in the world play here. It's the first week in August. I think that we'll also be looking for volunteers, so maybe getting your ladies association involved in that. we're also hosting a pro-am for golf professionals in our area on June 8th. And it's all the proceeds are going to benefit the women's am. It is tax deductible, but we're hoping to get as many female professionals as we can, as well as male professionals to fill that field. It's $300 appearance fee, but $5,000 first place. So it should be a great event, but mark that on your calendars for all your lady golfers if they're interested. US Women's Am first week in August at Westchester.
Thanks, Ben. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Got anything else?
In terms of women's bias in the PGA, can you each leave a
Great question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah, so for me, I got this question a lot, and I used to
Yeah,
say director of instruction.
Yeah, what's the question?
I could read the question. It says, let's see, chat.
In terms of women biases in the PGA, what are your guys' career goals in your PGA life?
Awesome.
So for me, a goal in the beginning was to be director of instruction, and now I'm kind of pushing the envelope. I'm thinking maybe head pro. I want to get involved with more of like the politics for the PGA. So maybe, just kind of getting involved on like the boards and stuff. On a low level, maybe one day higher level. I think for me, it was important to get both my LPGA and PGA certification. I just got TPI certified as well. So, trying to just learn as much as I can. But yeah, I mean, I know, the glass ceiling is pretty high. And then once you hit it, then you're kind of stuck there for a little bit. So it is hard as a female, I think, to get a head pro position, but it's not impossible. So that's my plan. How about yourself, Carina?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I always thought I wanted to be an instructor. I'm kind of just dipping my toes into it, and in the past couple of years since I got my PGA. And but since I've kind of taken a step back this past winter, I realized how much I truly love like all aspects of it, running the tournaments, and like I did all the buying when I was at Tamarack, and I thought that was a lot of fun, and just being involved with the members every day, like their whole experience at the club. And when you get so focused on teaching, I thought that you kind of lose touch with people that aren't really your clients. So I could see myself, I would like to become a head professional, probably in the Met section, try and break down some of those barriers. I mean, there's two female head professionals in the section, somewhere in there. And I don't see why we can't get that number a little bit higher. So it's just being able to, I absolutely love building those relationships with people, and I think being a head pro would be pretty awesome.
I also this year down here at Mariner Sands, we had let our merchandiser go, and I found myself, all the guys turned to me, they're like, Harley, what did we buy, what did we get? So I looked at that as really more of a experience to say, okay, I don't have a lot of merchandising experience, but this is a great opportunity to learn. So I really learned how to like form a budget, what to buy, pricing structure, placement in the golf shop. Like I kind of dove into that, but I always told myself, I said, I'm here to be really a teacher, and I have a lot on my plate with Ladies Day, ladies clinics, running the tournaments and everything. So I always said that's my first priority. When I have more time, then I'll start doing the merchandising. Just because I didn't want, that's also kind of a gender bias. Like, oh, Carly, you're the female. Can you do the buying? And I was like, I'm not going to let that dictate or take away from my teaching, why I'm really here. So I'm obviously a team player, willing to help out and do what I can. But yeah, I look at that as like a total education opportunity. But yeah, I mean, I was certainly, my eyes are open to the bias. So.
Yeah, like at the beginning of my career, I would almost feel pigeonholed into doing the merchandising. But now looking back on what I gained through that, Tamarack, we carried over 10 different lines for the men, 7 different lines for the ladies, and having that experience of doing the buying, it goes a very long way. And I enjoyed it a lot. Mike also asked, what do we think holds back more women from being head pros Is it just the overall number of men to women, or what do you think?
I don't know. Like, I would never say I'm afraid to become a head pro. I mean, I'm probably, the only hurdle would be the gender bias. I think, I mean, in my
Yeah.
eyes, like, that's really the hardest thing. Like, I always say that I want to get more certifications. I want to learn as much as I can just to overcome that. But I mean, there are some clubs that want a male head pro, and that's just something that, you know, it's never going to really work in my favor. So,
I mean, I've also seen that like a lot of the women that I've interacted with in the section and throughout my time, that they kind of get, you see how much money you can make teaching, and kind of a much more stress-free lifestyle teaching. And women kind of, I think most of the women that I've had as my mentors were all teaching professionals. I can't think of one that even wanted to go the head pro route, and I'm not sure if it's because of those biases that they feel like they have a better opportunity to be more successful as teachers. But I don't see why we can't change that bias.
I also think like one day, like obviously if I ever wanted to have a family, I don't know if I would want to take on that responsibility and also be head pro at the same time. So, you know, obviously the older I get, then I'm like, okay, once I have a family and everything, then I could maybe start to dive into like my career, like really becoming a head pro, doing what I want. So that's something that I think holds some women back from really trying to like achieve, like, what do you really want in this industry? And that's something that, you know, should you put your family first, family second, job, you know, there's so many different like things, but balance is always the best. So
yeah, definitely. Kevin asked a question: have you seen gains with new technology helping and or intimidating women's instruction?
I think that as an instructor, you need to, at least I feel, I look at my student and kind of size them up as to how much of this technology stuff they could handle. Like, I'm not going to strap a K-vest on a new beginner golfer. That's going to drive them in, that's going to drive them in the opposite direction. I think you just have, I mean, I think some of the newer technology is awesome for the right student, but I think as an instructor, you have to have a good understanding of your student as to what they can handle and what they're going to be comfortable with.
Absolutely. I think what Carly did with the marshmallow and the radar gun, that's
awesome.
Phenomenal. That's great.
Yeah, that's definitely for a junior program this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And like, you'll see the marshmallow sometimes gets stuck to the club, it sometimes goes flying. Like it's pretty fun.
Kids will love it.
Yeah.
And Joe asked, can you discuss in more detail what you find when it comes to club fitting for women? I rarely fit women golfers into the 3-wood, and they seem to always want one. How about preferences for woods versus hybrids?
I always go driver, 4-wood, 7-wood, and then, you know, a couple hybrids. Maybe if they're 7 irons, their most comfortable iron, then I go 7 iron, 6 hybrid, 5 hybrid, and then, you know, 7-wood, 4-wood driver. So the 4-wood and 7-wood, I think is like awesome. I have a driver 3.5 and my 3-wood sits in my trunk a lot. So I like the 4-7 combo. I think that's a cool way to encourage them, and they'll love their 4-wood, love their 7-wood. So I would suggest that.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of getting them to understand that the launch of a 3-wood isn't going to launch high enough off the ground for them to carry the ball far enough in the air to actually go farther than a 5-wood. And there are some high lofted 3-woods out there right now, 16, 17 degrees. They just say it's more of a 5-wood, but it says 3 on the bottom. But I've always found that it's easier to steer them into a 4-wood or a 5-wood if they understand why the 3-wood isn't going to perform for them.
And I always tell them too, I say, look, this 3-wood is so long, the loft is not in your favor. Like, let's put something a little bit smaller in your hands with more loft that's going to go maybe, like, I don't even say 10 yards less, because it's probably going to go 10 yards further in their consistency. So 4-wood is the answer.
Agreed. Who makes a 4-wood?
I think Callaway.
Does.
That's the problem. Not a lot of
thing you can change the loft.
Oh yeah,
add a little loft.
You can tweak them. Got to be creative.
Exactly. And then they get that 3 on the bottom. So they get their 3 wood and you get the little bit extra loft.
Oh yeah.
Here's a good one. How do you motivate women with a limited aptitude who nonetheless and obviously enjoy the times they hit a solid shot?
Say that again.
How do you motivate women with a limited aptitude who nonetheless obviously enjoy the times they hit a solid shot?
Well, the fun factor comes into play there. Just doing creative and enough things during the lesson that you keep their attention, and I guess creative things can be as simple as, especially with irons, if you got trying to get a little more downward strike, is to just place a simple scorecard about 3 inches behind the golf ball, a gap of about 3 inches between the edge of the scorecard and the ball, and trying to get them to hit the ball without contacting the scorecard. Just gets them a little more downward strike, giving them little challenges like that that will maybe get their attention a little bit more and might lead to better solid strikes. There's lots of little things you can do about that. My favorite one is I like to tee up one of their fairway woods as high as I can get them to tee it up, the big, really long tee. I'll tee up 3 of them for them. And I say, your goal is to hit every one of these balls off the tee without knocking the tee out of the ground. And it just gets them more in tune to the golf ball, in tune to swinging more up on the ball.
Like athletic, more athletic.
Athletic, right. Yeah, you're not thinking about anything other than not knocking the tee out of the ground. So I just think that it's being creative. It's pulling out all the stops to try to keep their attention.
And then Kevin asked, with the fairway wood question, is speed the biggest issue?
Yes and no.
I want to say, yeah, I was going to say yes and no.
Yeah.
It's part of it, and golf balls are made to not spin longer on when they're compressed more now, and the spin keeps the ball in the air. So if you don't have the speed, or if you are compressing the ball's not spinning a lot because it's made to go farther on the longer shots. So it's just a combination of everything.
I think the length of a 3-wood too for beginner women is difficult because your driver's long, it's teed up, it's a huge face, and then the 3-wood's kind of like that next step. And I'm only 5'2", and a lot of the women down here in Florida that I teach, they're shorter than me. So to put a 3-wood in their hands, they're chunking it, hitting it thin, and I'm like, what, 4-wood is the answer. Like, let's try, But yeah, Callaway makes a great 4-wood, and we have a lot of demos like 4-7. So if I ever do a fitting, I'll pull like a bunch of those and just try to push them in that direction.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Does anyone have any more questions?
How do you manage golf shops?
Great question.
With the utmost.
And the expectations. Okay. I would say for me, it's I have a different experience when I'm here in Florida because the women, we know what brands they like, they buy all the things, it's very cut and dry. Up north, I think we do have right when you walk in our shop, which is now under construction, they're renovating the whole thing, but we used to have the women's clothes right in the front, and the men would kind of go through and they know what they like and they get their brands and everything, but the women were kind of, I think they found what they liked, but they weren't huge shoppers in the golf shop. They just kind of looked at the mannequin and were like, we'll take that, or let's see, the bias in reality up here. Women's apparel makes for a small percentage of sales compared. Yeah, I would definitely agree, Mike. Yeah, it's just like I said, down here things fly off the shelves for the women, and the men's clothes kind of sit. And up north, it's kind of the complete opposite. I think trunk shows are also really good. We would do an Echo trunk show, lucky shoe size. That was really really cool to see the women just get involved with golf shoes. The trunk shows are cool. Or even if you have a club or a rep on the tee from, let's say, a Fairway and Green, and they're there to bring all the women's clothes, and then it's like ladies day and they're teeing off, and then they'll like a rack outside, the woman will go right over to that and like start looking. So just getting creative with, you know, trying to move some ladies product, I think is important.
And
So-
what I found was always listening to what the women were asking for, understanding, like, kind of, since I was doing the buying for the ladies, I would kind of take note of what the brands the women were wearing, figuring out their sizes, having the correct sizes in stock, and what you think they're going to want. And I always thought that bringing in a new company, something fresh that isn't really in most golf shops, that was always huge, because then it brings them in, they're like, oh wow, look at this new line, I've never even heard of this brand. They try it on, and all of a sudden they start shopping. And once that cycle starts, they kind of just keep going. And I think that just listening to what they want and sending out surveys is really important. That's what I found.
It's like anything that you need to give it a little effort.
Oh yeah.
Ryan George, who's a professional at the Rockaway Hunting Club, is very successful in his ladies department because he brings in product throughout the year. It's not just to get it all in the spring and there you go, ladies, you know, have at it. It's fresh stuff coming in constantly. It's obviously smaller orders, but it's throughout the summer, and it's always fresh. The ladies are now trained that, okay, when's the next shipment coming in? I want to be first to see it. I want to be the first one to get it. And it, you know, it cultivated that type of atmosphere. You know, I don't know what it was when he first started here, how successful he was, but I know how successful he is now in the ladies department, and it's just from a little effort.
I think also like having a female pro at the club, and like me, like right here, this is like polo, and I would wear this and the members would be like, wow, I want one of those, you know. I'm like, go to the golf shop and check it out. So that's like a cool way to promote you know, things like shoes, hats, just wearing what's in your golf shop is very, very important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I always wore the pants, and people are always, and whatever you have on, they're always like, oh, can I go get that in the shop? And that's really important. Caitlin, in your experience, what is the top selling ladies clothing lines at your club and golf club brands?
I would say probably Ralph Lauren, Polo.
Yeah, that ones did really well. G4 was surprisingly phenomenal. G4, the shoes, they love the shoes.
Yep.
And then you have like the basics.
Even like Nike, Adidas did well. Like we have some younger members that are very athletic and they want that athletic look. So that's always.
We did well with the shoes. We brought in ladies' shoes, small samplings of their polos this year, and we sold them like crazy. Which I was surprised by that, because it's a little bit of a higher price point, which sometimes scares women shoppers away. But I think that having that more athletic, less, because you get both types of women. You get the women that want the kind of more patterns and like designer-esque lines, like the matchy, and then you have the ladies that want to dress more in an athletic attire. So you kind of have to cover both bases and kind of understanding what your membership's looking for.
As far as clubs go, we've had a lot of success with the XCO line. Just lighter weight, performs really well. Definitely that's been a good seller for us.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another one. What did you think about a woman playing in a PGA event against the men, as Annika did in 2003? I thought it was great. Yeah, I thought it was awesome too. I thought, you know, she's like a pioneer in women's golf. I like love her. Yeah, I thought that was just really neat. I know like the other side of the argument is that the men, you know, it's their living and they want to play as well. Like she's taking away a spot from like either a young perspective or another, you know, male pro. But I think to me, like that was one of the biggest things that I remember growing up as a junior golfer. I was like, wow, she is like gutsy and she's now playing with the men. So I thought it was great, but I know some people disagree. So
I think it's phenomenal. I think we need more of that type of stuff. Show what we can do.
Yeah, and like the gap in pay, the women's tournaments versus men's tournaments. That's a whole, a whole reason why maybe she did it. Kind of to stir the pot a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was awesome.
And I don't know. I know Wendy Modick and Monique Thorez are both on the call right now. I don't know if they wanted to chime in and on their kind of successes in tournament play and careers. I know they've both been in the industry for a very long time, and might have some good insight. Okay. Never mind. All right. Well, I don't know. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to kind of talk about?
Covered most of my notes, so I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
so
I'm just
too.
happy for the opportunity. This was such a cool cool call.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for all of your information, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you all for attending too.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you guys.